Well, now I want to introduce David Vaughn. David Vaughn is an O-scale two-rail modeler, uh, and he is president of O-scale Central. And I want to have him tell us a little bit about what's going on with O-scale Central. So, David, welcome.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you for the opportunity. O-Scale Central is a organization that promotes O-Scale 2-rail and supports modelers in the scale. And we have a considerable number of programs, including a scale-wide product and service guide for 2-rail O-Scale so people can find what's available. We do a quarterly journal. We do a monthly online program, which I know Jim Kello knows about because he regularly participates. Martin Breckbiel pretty regularly participates. We've got a lot of stuff going on. And I'm going to give you just one little slice of what we do to carry out our mission. We have a great scale. You will never find a 2-rail O-scale modeler who isn't proud beyond all belief in the scale. We think it's got a lot of advantages, including a great way to get detail, great mass in the models, which is reflected in performance, and a really wonderful scale to build models in. So we start with a good product when we are promoting it. And it is a rather well-kept secret. O-scale has gotten below the radar of the different scales. It used to be a very prominent scale, but has sort of been slowly sliding as a percentage of the hobby over a period of time. And we regard our job as both reversing that trend and even better to share our secret and get people involved in modeling O-scale 2-rail. So it's a high mission. When we get the opportunity, it's a good sell because we have a good scale to do it with. But we are workhorses, not show horses, and we think that our best efforts are doing things with people in small groups, one-on-one, sharing our experience, sharing our enthusiasm about the scale. We had a great opportunity to show off at the recent St. Louis RPM. And I don't know whether you all are familiar with the St. Louis RPM, which is actually held in Illinois. But it is an extremely well-organized show. Lonnie Bathurst and his committee do a great job. And in the show that I'm going to tell you about, which was held in July of 2024, they had almost 1,000 modelers at the show. And as you know, the RPM guys are very high, they are into high levels of detail and prototype accuracy. And we think every RPM modeler should consider O-scale 2-rail because we've got the detail and the mass and the ability to really show off prototype accuracy in ways that the smaller scales are really challenged to do that. And we put together a program for the St. Louis RPM show that I want to share with you. And in fairness, we think any scale could probably do it. And we'll have I'll have some suggestions as to what worked and maybe what didn't. And it could be used by any scale, as I said. We just happen to have a particularly good scale. And this is part of our outreach to show what O-scale can do for individual modelers. And we started with a display table, and the display table has a couple of things that are important in doing the sale. The St. Louis RPM has what they call learning stations. So they pride themselves on encouraging interaction between the vendors and the historical societies and the people who are behind the table and the modelers who are attending. So we had a variety of literature describing the scale, describing what O Scale Central does. And we had a number of magazines that people could paw through, showing successful O-scale layouts that had been featured before. And we had a larger screen TV playing on a continual basis O-scale two-rail videos. Most people at a train show of any kind are walking pretty briskly as they walk the aisles, because they're looking for the next great bargain, or they're looking for the thing they saw on the last pass through. So unless you've got something to reach out and grab them, they are going to keep on moving. The TV with the videos attracts people. They stop, they look, they get involved in conversations with the people that we had working on the show, and we are able to then to tell our stories, deal with the questions they may have about O-scale, and it all starts with a well thought out program like this. We think O-scale two-rail is particularly impressive when you can see live trains running, and when you can try and punch holes in the myths that keep many people from exploring O-scale. This is an 8x16 sectional layout, which Jim Cantor in Indianapolis put together. He basically said, wait a minute, the standard in HO scale is 4x8. Most people think you have to have a gymnasium or a football stadium or something to do O-scale. Let me show you what the O-scale equivalent of a 4x8 layout looks like. So he built this. He takes it around to shows. He's got a trailer. Two guys can unload and get this thing set up in about 45 minutes. And when it's there, we'll see some more shots of it as we go through. When it's working, you can see the O-scale trains moving. And compared to the smaller scales, O-scale trains are just good looking. Now, and very impressive. When I told you about the learning stations, what the St. Louis RPM people are doing is trying to encourage this interaction. So you're not simply shooting the bull, you're actually teaching skills, soliciting questions, offering tips, and so on. And in this particular shot, we have DCC installations in O-scale engines. And there you can see a couple of the folks who were there actually teaching skills, answering questions. It's a very interactive process, and obviously it's part of selling not only the scale, but the community. We worked in conjunction with the Big Bend Model Railroad Club, which is a St. Louis O-scale two-rail layout, which has been around for a long time. So we were not only promoting the scale and familiarizing people with O-scale Central, but we were also soliciting memberships and participation in the local club. These are the folks who worked on this. We had people who had the learning stations. We had people operating the layout. We had people who were serving as resource people when attendees at the show would come up and ask questions. And I will tell you, it was a lot of fun meeting people. We probably had a couple hundred substantive interactions during the course of the show, but we also had a lot of fun together. You start out in any model railroading venture thinking that it's all about the equipment and the hardware and the new acquisitions. But as you go through, you find out that it's really much more about the people and the relationships and the experience that you have had been able to share with each other. So we had a great time in addition to doing what we think was a great service to the scale. The RPM meets, as you may know, have heavy emphasis on equipment display. And one of the problems that we are trying to tackle is that O-Scale historically has been somewhat insular and has not done a lot to actually display the models. So it's not at all unusual to go to an RPM meet where they will have hundreds of models stacked across the tables and only find a very small number of O-Scale 2-rail models. So we tried to encourage people, not only the guys who were working on the team, but all of the O-Scalers that we knew to go ahead and bring O-Scale equipment. And I will say that the development of 3D printing and CAD-based modeling is going to help everybody, but it's particularly going to help the O-Scalers because as a smaller scale, we have much less ability to have vendors investing in tooling to come up with new models, to make the minimum orders that you need to do conventional model production, and to carry the inventories that it also requires. We had a number of very creative O-Scalers who have used CAD-based tooling, in other words, no tooling, just the drawings, and 3D printing to do some very, very sophisticated modeling. These components are all 3D printed, designed to fit on standard models like the Atlas SW8. Here are some models based on a very relatively low-priced, not sophisticated Weaver GP38 model. And a fella had done several different road names and several different variations on that modeling. Note that the models in O-Scale sort of tower over the HO scale and N scale models in the background left. The tooling that we have been able to do, I use tooling in quotes because it's basically CAD, can be used to great advantage in working with off-the-shelf models and making new variations. This is a variation, I think, on it may even be an MTH drive, but fairly pedestrian in its origin, but made up in a very imaginative way for a model that is unique. This model is still under construction. This is part of that 8x16 sectional layout. And as you can see, you have a very visible, very realistic layout This happens to be a nickel plate layout, which is my favorite railroad. So I'm always happy to see Jim Cantor do his work. And these are interesting engines. The one on the right is particularly interesting. It is a very recent import from Sunset Third Rail of a nickel plate SD40-2. For those of you who are at least moderately familiar with nickel plate, uh, they never had SD40-2s because they were taken over, raped and pillaged by the Norfolk and Western in 1964. But we have imagineered a universe where nickel plate did not take over. And we have had Sunset Third Rail working with us to do uh, some some of these imagineered prototypes, and we've had a lot of fun. These are very well designed, well produced engines that are basically off the shelf and for not all that much more than high quality HO would be.
David,
Uh,
we got to wrap this up.
okay, I will tell you that we have lessons learned from this whole thing. Selling the scale is important, and we have a great product and easy sale. People are looking to find for what O-scale shows, which is detail, mass, and ease of modeling. People have a lot of misimpressions about OS2R. Having people there, having an operating layout helps set that at ease. And outreach works. It really does. This is a small slice of what's going on with O-Scale Central right now. But if you have more questions or want to learn more, our website is oscalecentral.com. I'm sorry, .org, .com. Anyway, that's it. I appreciate you letting me give an update on what we're up to. Thank you.
Well, David, I can't thank you enough for being here. For anybody's information, you may remember I write the New Tracks modeling column for O-Scale Resource Magazine. And the issue that's coming out at the end of September has a major feature that I've written on David's organization, O-Scale Central. It talks about why I believe it is an organization that every O-Scale modeler should be a member of. It talks about why I believe David is the new sheriff in town for O-Scale. And he has done, in my opinion, a fantastic job bringing this organization to what I believe is the future for O-Scale promotion in our hobby. I truly believe that all of us can benefit by trying to improve and increase the image that O-Scale modeling has in the model railroad community. I don't believe in the past that that's been done properly, and I'm convinced that David is part of the answer to that issue. So if you can see your way clear, I encourage you to go to their website and take a look. But before you do that, just wait until the end of September and read the article. It's a long article, I'll tell you that going in. Every month in my articles after this, including starting in the issue that I'll be sending over in November, I've asked David to tell us what the O-Scale Central has done for you lately. I hear all the time, what's it do? I don't hear about it. Where is it? What is it? Well, David is going to have an opportunity, as he has tonight, to try to give you a feel for what O-Scale Central is all about and what they're trying to accomplish and what they are accomplishing. And to answer the question, what on earth does O-Scale Central do? He's also going to get an option in every one of my articles from now on to tell us what O-Scale Central is doing for us. I think that you're going to see a tremendous benefit at a very, very small, almost cheap way of being a participant in our O-scale hobby if you are an O-scaler. And I encourage you to read my article. And if you think well enough of it after reading the article, I wholly encourage you to go to the website and take a look at the information that I suggest you take a look at and see if you don't reach the same conclusion I did. This is an organization that an O-scale traction guy like me needs to be a member of. And I am. And it's also an organization that I believe every one of our O-scale members ought to also join. So David, thank you so much for being here this evening. I look forward to you coming back. You'll be back again next month. Got David scheduled once a month now to come and talk to us about this organization. So he's going to either have to do something or he's going to look awfully foolish coming and saying, well, we didn't do anything this month. That's it. Goodbye. So we'll see what he says when he comes back next month. David, thank you so much.
We're looking for people to try out an O-scale kit. You don't have to convert. You don't have to sell your existing scale. Try it. You'll like it. And thank you, Jim, for the very kind words, for the opportunity. And thank you, by the way, for everything you do, getting up in the morning every day, thinking, what can I do to improve the hobby and give modelers more satisfaction? So thank you for what you do.
By the way, I'll give one manufacturer a plug. I don't normally do this, but I'm going to do it. All Nation Hobbies has what they call a basic car kit. This is an O-scale freight car, $30. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles, but you can add those. And it has a complete kit that's more expensive with all those bells and whistles. But you want to try out O-scale? Give it a try for $30. You'll get a great wooden O-scale car and see how you like it. David, thanks so much. See you next month and looking forward to the next.
Thank you, Jim.